Hi there, it's Laura here from Get Organized HQ, and I want to tell you about how to implement what I call a media fast in order to help declutter your mind. Now, a media fast is about what it sounds like. It is where you fast or abstain from consuming all or some media. We'll get to that in a second. And we talk all the time about decluttering. I have tons of videos on decluttering your stuff and just how much difference a decluttered space makes and not being weighed down with just tons of junk. But the same is true in other areas, not just your physical stuff, but you can declutter your time, your activities, and your mind. And from personal experience, wow, our minds can just get so cluttered because I know this makes me sound like really old, but in today's day and age, we are constantly consuming media. I am 38 years old, and so when I was growing up, middle school, high school, even into college, smartphone actually came out the summer I graduated from college. So the internet was becoming a thing, especially in college. We had computers, but we weren't 24/7 bombarded by media. And it really does make a huge, huge difference in what's happening in our minds. Now, I want to help you figure out how you can do this for yourself in a helpful, realistic, and meaningful way. So the first thing I want to point out is that you are making the rules if you want to do this. So no one's watching over your shoulder. There is no official rule book for how you need to do this. So you can make it as long as you want, a few hours, a day. You could say before breakfast, before lunch. You could make it a month. You can also make a complete, like no media, or you can be like, these are the types of media I'm allowing during my fast. And start small, see what that does for you, and go from there. So I've recently done this, and wow, the difference that it makes in my mind, the space that I have, the amount of thinking and processing that I'm able to do. And this is a big one. I also feel a lot less stressed. The less I put in, and the more I'm just kind of being, if that's even a word, or like the more I don't feel the stress as much of all the things. So I'm going to go through the different types of media that you could consider including in your fast and kind of talk about how they have affected me. So the first type is what I would call social media. So like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. These are where you're looking at other people that are supposed to be real people. Like sometimes on Facebook or maybe even Instagram, it is people you actually know in real life. I stopped Instagram totally unofficially about 6 months ago, and it's been amazing. I didn't realize, like, I would sit there and I would watch people's stories, and I would usually, sometimes I would feel inspired. I was like, that's really inspirational. I'd get a great tip. Like, I loved the ones where they show before and after of organizing. While not all my spaces might look that amazing, I didn't feel at all discouraged. I would feel inspired. If you feel discouraged, then stop. But everything else would just make me feel like I wasn't enough. Like, I would see moms with their kids, and they were taking them everywhere, and they always looked perfectly well behaved, and they were fitting 8 million things into their day. And I was like, how are you doing this? Now, I probably wasn't seeing everything. I realized that, but it was discouraging me. Or I would see people talking about how I lost 28 pounds in 2 months without deprivation, and I now look amazing. And that's great, but it wasn't helping me. It was discouraging me. And it just was kind of dragging me down and just filling me with constant ideas, even good ideas, things that are in my wheelhouse, things that I might be able to implement, like a good idea for digital decluttering, a good idea for organizing, a good idea for meal planning, a good recipe idea. Oh my goodness, the number of ideas that came into my head. I should buy this dress. I should go to try this store. Overwhelming. overwhelm. So I first kind of stopped that, and that was unintentional. I do really, really hope to start back pretty soon because I want to start posting on Instagram more. I've done some in the feed, which I don't really have to even log into Instagram to do that, but I really want to start stories soon, so I may, but I'm not putting a lot of pressure on myself. So that was kind of already included in my fast, so to speak. But then the other types of media include television, whether that's like actual TV, which I don't really have that. I do more like Netflix, Amazon Prime, like all of those ways of consuming entertaining media, and YouTube. That's kind of social, but it's also, it can be entertaining, it can be funny, it can be informational. I have personally found for myself that YouTube is a lot better than Instagram because I'm watching a video on a specific topic that I'm ready for. So like if I'm not ready for a certain topic, I just don't watch it. So it's usually me seeking out like, hey, I'm ready to organize my pantry. I want to look for pantry organizing ideas. I'm ready to upgrade my computer. I want to look for like what types of computers people are liking and the features and things like that. So that's working for me. But again, during the fast, I tried to take a step back even from that. And this is going to sound strange, but during my little fast, I did not try to limit entertainment media. So like Netflix, Amazon Prime. For me, this wasn't cluttering up my mind. This was just like mindless entertainment. Now, it can be a huge time waster. I will not argue with that, but it wasn't contributing to clutter in my mind, so I just didn't worry about it. And I still would watch a show every now and then, and I just didn't try to avoid that. Now, if you find that you're constantly like spending way too much time on those, or if those are cluttering up your mind, I would encourage you to avoid those, but I didn't. So again, you make your own rules. Another type of media is courses. I am like an online course junkie. And while I do collect a lot of courses and some I don't get to, I watch a lot of them, like a lot of online courses. I watch productivity, all sorts of business courses, for everything from, how to advertise, how to make better videos, the detailed tech intricacies of setting up a website, like everything. And constantly filling my mind with that. And that's another thing that can really clutter up your mind. And if you overboard it, which I tend to do because I love info junkie, you just can't implement. You just get too much, even if you take notes and you try to organize it all. So I took a break from courses. Another source of media that we access a lot I put these in the same category, podcasts and audiobooks, and even like Kindle books or physical books. So books and podcasts. I love books. I love listening to books. But this is another one that I put on hold. I just constantly feeding my mind with like more self-improvement ideas as most of the books I've listened to, and a few books in the entertaining genre. And I treated this differently than TV for entertainment because for me personally, and I want to emphasize this is for me, I know it's not the same for everyone, if I watch a TV show, I don't tend to get sucked in and like watch like 20 episodes and I can't put it down. That's all I can think about. But when I read books, I get way too sucked in. That's all I can think about. I'm trying to like listen to them all the time while I'm trying to hang out with my kids, while I'm trying to do the dishes, while I'm trying to do anything. And I just wanted to be done with all books. So I put that aside, and I only did this for like a week, by the way. I also tried to be more conscious of when I was picking up my phone for any reason, including games. And I have like a couple mindless, like Spider Solitaire. And I found that I was kind of picking it up every once in a while for just like when I was stressed to like play. And I actually decided that's fine. I mean, Solitaire and Spider Solitaire is not very addictive. I mean, maybe you could get addicted to it, but like it's pretty boring. And so like after I play a game, I'm done. It takes like 5 minutes. I don't get really crabby if I'm interrupted. And considering all the like little tiny stress relievers that you could have, like eating junk food or something that takes a lot of time, or even worse, I thought this was pretty tame. So I was cool with that. But I realized that by being able to kind of take a step back and try to observe myself and observe when I picked up my phone. Now, I also did not try to limit any kind of phone calls or like personal texts. I just didn't see a reason to do that. I don't really consider that media. I consider that personal communication. And I'm also not someone who spends like tons of time texting. Actually, ask my friends, I'm kind of bad about answering texts because I just don't keep my phone with me all the time. And I don't spend a ton of time on the phone, so that wasn't really something that I considered. But those are just some of the things for you to consider reducing or cutting back on. Do it for just a short time and see how you feel. Like, how does your mind feel? What do you want to add back in? Do you want to add everything back in? Do you want to add a few things back in? But you've got to give your mind that break. And when I did this, if you do this and you spend a decent amount of time, like I do and did and still do, consuming this type of media, you're going to need to fill your time with something else. You're going to have, even if you don't have more like literal time to do whatever you want, you're going to have more mental time. Like while I wash dishes, while I fold clothes and things like that, I wasn't listening to things. And so you're going to need to do something with it. So I just processed a lot of things, and I had more time to brainstorm ideas for everything, for, improving the summer routine with my kids, for things I want to host, like with my friend group. Like I want to host different things. Different projects I want to do around the house, a ton of work stuff, like ways I want to improve our membership and improve our big event that's coming up in the fall. Like tons of brainstorming there is happening. And I also spend a lot more time outside, just taking in nature, thinking. I've spent a lot more time hanging out with my kids. Now, part of that is because it's the summer and that's happening anyway, but it was a good time to build in less media, more time with them, and I felt like I could be really more engaged. So I really hope this has helped give you some ideas. I don't have an exact process or a strict set of rules, but to sum it up, set a period of time from like a day to 3 days to a week. I wouldn't do any longer than that to start with. Decide which, make a list of the types of media you consume and decide which are and aren't allowed. And then just try it and see what it does for you and your mind.